Hey my friends, welcome back to a new video. Today we have a big topic. Humanity is about to be changed forever. In the Hopi prophecy, there's a saying, all that is built on falsehood will collapse. In the Bhagavad Gita says, when righteousness declines and chaos rises, I restore the balance of the world. If we return back into the Hopi prophecy, it says the war will be a spiritual conflict with material matters. Material matters will be destroyed by spiritual beings who will remain to create one world and one nation under one power, that of the Creator. That time is not far off. The fourth world shall end soon, and the fifth world will begin. This the elders everywhere knew. The signs over many years have been fulfilled, and so few are left. And many people believe we are right now in this transition into the fifth world. It already started. Across cultures and centuries, ancient wisdom keepers warned that humanity would eventually reach a turning point, a timeline when lies, illusions, and fear-based systems could no longer hold the weight of human consciousness. And that time has arrived. Everything that was built from separation, exploitation, and consciousness is losing its power. And everything rooted in truth, coherence, and higher intention is rising. Humanity is not falling apart. It's truthfully being reshaped, reawakened. And I want to share with you 5 different keys that will help you to see how it is happening. So you don't fear what is going on. You wake up into truth and trust and love for what is arising, to return back home into what can be done through you. So welcome back everyone. My name is Gasper. I'm an artist behind this channel. I share with you paintings that I see in my mind's eye, and I connect them with messages, because each of my painting has a very unique message that comes with it. So that's why I'm doing this. So firstly, the collapse of the old timeline. This is happening right now. We're living in a moment where global instability is not a sign of destruction, but a sign of correction. What appears as chaos is actually the breakdown of structures that have reached the end of their evolutionary usefulness. Economic, political, and social systems constructed for a lower state of consciousness cannot survive in a world where people are waking up. This is why the world feels unstable right now. It doesn't feel unstable because things are ending, because things are so unsure right now and unpredictable, but because everything false is being washed away. This is just the nature of this time. It was predicted by great wisdom keepers. And we are going through the science of it right now. That's why people feel like their identities are dissolving, because the old self was built inside an outdated energetic environment. When the environment collapses, everything you build within it naturally begins to loosen. The identity crisis people feel is actually an invitation to become who they truly are, not who they were conditioned to be. So one of many important topics in this time is to knowing who we really are. And this is a complex topic because we need to go through the process of reconditioning, relearning from being identified with things and names and what we gained and what people say about us. We need to come in touch with a deeper essence that is all about truth and connection. These kind of things have been happening before. And only when we return to a sense of connection, as I mentioned before, to a sense of unity, we can understand that what we do to others, we do to ourselves. And that's why it's so hard to watch how systems are functioning, because we know that it's not sustainable. We have seen this pattern through history, like ancient Sumer, the late Egyptian dynasties, and the Mayan tradition all went through cycles where consciousness rose, and the old structures could no longer contain that expansion. Civilizations collapse not when humans fail, but when humans outgrow them. Maybe to some of you it doesn't feel like this is happening, because when you look around you don't see that people are truly outgrowing themselves. But that's why it's so important to look into a more subtle nature and ask yourself, do you feel like you've outgrown the old lifestyle of yours? And just start asking deeper questions, like what parts of your lifestyle you feel that you've outgrown. Maybe the parts where you've been living out of fear. Maybe the parts where you thought you need to survive and you've noticed it's not truly human. Maybe you came to the point where you don't want to survive anymore. You truly want to thrive. You want to live. You want to do something that makes you feel alive. So today, our institutions like finance, education, healthcare, governance are fracturing because they were designed for survival consciousness, not awakened consciousness. The collapse that is happening right now was destined to happen because it brought us to here. It's not to blame, it's a very organic evolution that is happening right now. And rather than focusing on the collapse, we need to focus on what is rising right now, what is awakening, and what we can awaken through ourselves, through our action, through our focus on the right intention, the intention that connects humanity, the intention that builds a new world, the intention that returns biology back into health, back into harmony, back into coherence, the intention that connects all living creatures and see everything as part of one ecosystem. At the biological level, humanity is shifting from a survival-driven nervous system to one capable of higher states of awareness. That's why so many people are experiencing heightened states of intuition, and some people don't know how to truly explain it. People are experiencing greater states of sensitivity, also to emotions and thoughts, and they don't really know what is happening to them. We are waking up back to our senses. Before, we've been living in a state of disconnection because we've been living in our thoughts, constantly overthinking. And overthinking made us feel confused, and confusion made us feel like we're lost. And when we felt lost, we've started relying on outer sources to get a sense of direction. And because outer sources usually came from the system knew that we are lost, and it gave us a false sense of direction for its own benefit. And we came to the point where we've realized, at least many of us, I'm saying that with a great sense of compassion and love for anyone, because I understand we all are on our own paths of evolution, and we wake up when we wake up, and everyone is on a divine time. We came to the point where we've realized that as long as we get a sense of direction from an external source, we will never get to where we truly belong. It will get us to a certain point until we realize that actually we need to look within. And only when we look within, we come across a sense of truth that speaks in a language of resonance. And resonance will tell you what's the right for you. And only when you get in touch with it, then you can lead your life into where you truly belong. Of course, there are external sources that will resonate with you as well, but at some point, as the saying goes, when the student is ready, the teacher will come. The teacher will take you to a certain degree of your evolution, but then the saying goes on, when the student is really ready, the teacher will disappear. And that means now you need to rely on your inner guidance. So this is the deeper meaning behind the exhaustion, the emotional purging, and the sense of I cannot live this way anymore right now. This is why so many of us may feel this way. Firstly, because it's time to slow down, because the pace of the world may feel too fast, and it's not natural, it's not organic. And unplugging from it here and there can help you to recognize your pace, something I often talk about. But then also to go through emotional purging, to release all that stored energy that you've accumulated through time. And that's why a lot of physical activity is important, and doing energy work and breathing and having these deep needed conversations with fellow brothers and sisters is so healing. Facing with what we've been avoiding is one of the most important things right now. And that's what leads us further with this message, which is the second part, the awakening of the inner technology. Some people may call it consciousness expansion. Humanity is remembering an inner technology that has always existed, consciousness itself. As the external world destabilizes, people naturally turn inward, discovering that intuition, that inner guidance, that energetic awareness. And they realize it's way more accurate than external authorities. And what is happening right now on the planet is that people are slowly and gradually building discernment and trust into that inner authority. This needs to be a very slow process, because we can't just trust something we feel so unfamiliar with. Most of us haven't been growing up in an educational system that would be teaching us how to trust intuition, how to train our focus of the mind, how to balance our energies, and how to discover what feels the most purposeful. So we need to teach ourselves to become more sensitive to these things, and that feels unfamiliar, sometimes even scary, because we've been so relying, so attached to the external guidance. So this is a path of great change, and also quite of a trial and error. But know that As long as you follow the resonance, you're not making mistakes, you are learning. And because of all this, your intuition is amplifying. People are suddenly feeling things before they happen, receiving insights without logic, and recognizing synchronicities as communication from a higher intelligence. This is not a sci-fi movie or a fantasy. It's a natural human ability that was dormant during long periods of collective survival. We see a lot of science that is catching up with this ancient wisdom right now, like neuroplasticity is talking about the brain that is endlessly rewiring itself, so it doesn't go on what we used to think that time moves in a linear way, and as you get old you start forgetting and you start to feel bored and your body slowly starts dying. Neuroplasticity says our bodies are constantly changing, brain is constantly changing, and it's actually a byproduct of what we are doing, what we are choosing, how we are living. As in Buddhism, they said, to prepare for a good death, live a good life. In other words, if you want to die at the end of the journey, at least physically, a pleasant death, live a good life. Because therefore, there is no suffering. There is constant upgrading and changing and harmonization that is happening as the great masters decided when they will leave this place. They didn't die, they decided, now I'm ready to leave this. And that's how we're supposed to live, naturally. Quantum physics demonstrates that intention influences outcomes. Coherence research reveals that the heart and brain operate as an electromagnetic communication system. Ancient civilizations spoke about remembering, not learning, because these abilities were inherent. So maybe we don't need so much of input anymore. Maybe what we truly need is remembrance, tapping in and finding a right system that truly helps us to remember, because currently we are in this age of information where there's too much of information, so everything is a bit chaotic. It's very good if we find an organized system that can teach us how to connect within and follow that guidance. So humanity is returning slowly to a state where inner knowing becomes stronger than conditioned belief. As this awakening accelerates, people begin to realize they no longer need external validation or control system. They become sovereign. They begin to trust their inner compass. This is the rise of the intuitive human, the return of the ancient human. And you can't predict how this goes from your ego mind or from your logical mind, because intuition is not logical. Intuition can only teach your logic how to trust life. But logic will never understand intuition, at least for now, not. Eventually we will, but we'll recognize that intuition doesn't work logically. And that's why we can't explain what is going on through the mind. We can only experience it through a feeling, to have a deep inner feeling of a sense of connection. And that's when we will understand that it was destined to happen, that we've been made for this. We came here for this. Many of you have maybe forgotten, but you've came here to volunteer in this process. You've chosen to come here because there's a unique energy to your soul, unique frequency within your beingness that is supporting this process, if you know it or not. Just being present here, you're also already creating a great service. But it works even better if you start consciously participating in it. Not in some kind of a spiritual or mystical way just because you've heard it, but asking yourself what makes you feel alive and follow it and be amazed by what happens when you do. Because there's a reason why certain things just turn us on. Like to me, when I came across ancient mystical teachings, it just turned me on. I just couldn't stop learning. And I wanted to start practicing all of that, like meditation and prayer and power of intention and visualization. I just wanted to practice, to experiment. And then I've started seeing visions in my mind's eye. And I said, oh, I want to paint it. I want to bring them out to see what will happen. And I've started doing that. And then messages started coming through. So I've started making messages. And then people started learning. And they said, whoa, I would love to learn more. And I've noticed there's a demand for this knowledge and art and all of this. And I've recognized, well, there's a flow to life. And each of us is on a unique flow, kind of like unique rhythm that we need to catch and surf. And if we do, life will start turning out very magically. Not all the time, not everything will be easy. Actually, many times it will be hard, but all the time, eventually you will learn that you've been always supported. And actually life took you through hard challenges and lessons, because that's how we overcome parts of us that are not trust, that are not love, that are not understanding. So basically life will take us through challenges and turbulences. So parts of us that have been built on old system can die, and parts of us that are divine can be born within us. And we call it rebirth. Almost like a resurrection that happens within us during this process. Now I will take you to the third part of this message, which is the end of the manipulated mind. The veil is lifting, and many of you most probably see that. For centuries, various forces, institutional, social, psychological, and even non-physical, have shaped human perception. Much of humanity's suffering has come from living inside narratives designed to keep people afraid, obedient, disconnected, and dependent on external systems. But when consciousness rises, manipulation no longer works, because you see it. And once you see it, you cannot not see it. People can now feel when information is distorted. They sense when something is off, even if they cannot logically explain it. This is inner clarity that breaks the power of fear-based programming. The collective mind is remembering how to think independently. As illusions collapse, hidden truths rise to the surface. And it's happening in politics, it's happening on social media, it's happening in the world of celebrities, it's happening in Hollywood, it's happening in financial systems, it's happening in healthcare systems. It's happening in all different areas, even in our personal lives and family lives. And you may see, like, people are just breaking down, or you may see things are coming up in your family that you never thought they were happening, because truth must come out. The collective mind is remembering how to think independently. As illusions collapse, hidden truth will rise to the surface. It's not happening because the world is getting worse, even though to our mind it looks like that, but because the world is becoming transparent. You see, if you want to consciously evolve, you must become transparent. Just think about when your mind opens to such a degree that you can read information beyond the physical matter, when you can sense frequencies beyond your 5 senses. What happens? Well, you can read minds, you can hear things, you can sense things, and suddenly you see through illusion. Suddenly you sense more than previously. And therefore, transparency is a must. Otherwise, like, nothing can stay hidden anymore because you sense. And in order to get there, we need to go through the process of purging, purification. So we stop hiding things. We actually let go of what was suppressed. We let go of what was heavy. Darkness is visible only because the light has increased. That's why all of this is happening. And this global awakening is similar to what ancient Gnostic texts described, when they said humanity breaking free from forces that fed on confusion and forgetfulness. When people reclaim their inner authority, no external system can control them. That's what they said. So just think about how much of this is happening right now. What we are witnessing is the end of mass hypnosis and the return of conscious awareness. I will take you to the 4th part now, which is the return of the heart, the new human compass. Human evolution is shifting from mind-centered to heart-centered consciousness. The heart is not simply a symbol of emotion. It's the most powerful electromagnetic organ in the body, capable of creating coherence that aligns the entire system. This is why emotional purging is accelerating. Humanity is releasing centuries of stored trauma, repression, and emotional disconnection. People can no longer tolerate relationships, behaviors, or environments that suppress their truth. Authenticity is becoming mandatory because nothing else is sustainable. At the same time, compassion is increasing. If you really want to be a change in the world right now, become compassionate towards everyone. And compassion is not sympathy. Compassion is not like, oh, I feel you, it must be bad. Compassion says, I feel you, but I see who you can become out of it. And you lead by an example. This is real compassion. So in order to show a way, you need to walk it. In order to show someone that it is possible, you need to be a demonstration of that possibility. In order to teach someone, you need to be a product of that teaching. Even though emotions feel more intense right now, people are feeling more empathy, more softness, more clarity around boundaries. It's very important. This balance is the hallmark of heart-centered evolution. The soft, the feeling of softness that overcomes the hard. And you only realize what this means, this softness that overcomes the hard. You only realize this when you forgive. When you have a deep, painful conversation that turns out into a healing conversation. When you relax a muscle that was tensed for years without even knowing it. That's when you recognize how softness can overcome the hard, because you can be a very hard, strong, tough person, but you may suffer because of closed-heartedness, and you become unapproachable, and you can't develop deep connections with others. No matter how strong, how tough you are, how incredible you are, you just can't find connection. And then you learn to soften your heart by finding a safe environment, maybe a safe person with whom you can experience that. And you recognize that, yeah, it's incredible to be strong. Like, we need to be strong. We need to be tough many times. We need to be powerful many times. But without that open-heartedness, that gentleness in our hearts, we become disconnected. And when we become disconnected, we miss something that is crucial for our life's experience, which is a connection between one another, a connection of our human family. Modern science confirms what ancient Egyptians understood. The heart is an intelligent center. When the heart and brain are coherent, perception expands, decision-making improves, emotional stability increases, spiritual connection deepens. Healing starts happening in the body. Your body starts activating genes for healing, for vitality. You experience more energy, and you just start to feel more grounded, more connected, and more calm. Isn't that beautiful? I haven't heard that on mainstream news about this inner technology. Humanity is entering a phase where emotional maturity becomes spiritual power. The healed heart becomes the GPS of the new era. And now I want to take you to the fifth part, to the last part of this message, which is the prophecy of the new human. Almost every ancient tradition predicted a time when humanity would undergo a profound shift. Not a physical extinction, but an evolution of consciousness. We are living in that time right now. It's a time of the new human. It's not a futuristic concept. It is emerging right now. This human operates from intuition, alignment, emotional intelligence, and inner sovereignty. They create intentionally rather than react from fear. They no longer need permission to live their purpose. So it may mean you don't ask your parents or your teachers or your neighbors or whoever around you, hey, can I do that? Is this possible? You go and try, you experiment because you just felt called to do it. Something that feels purposeful to you, like we usually call it a dream. We all have been born with some kind of a dream. And in the past, people thought about this, like, have a big dream. Like, it's something that people are just, daydreaming or making up. But when we go into more mystical teachings, we realize each soul came here with a purpose, with a mission. Before we came here, we decided why we are coming here. Because on the higher states of consciousness, everything has a purpose. Everything is designed with a purpose. And the feeling of fulfillment and joy comes when we follow it. That's how we know we are on purpose. When we feel alive, when we feel joy, when we feel enthusiasm, when we feel a sense of wholeness. So nature implanted into us a compass that can tell us and show us that we are on the right path. And when we are off that path, we will feel the lack of joy. We humans have named so many negative emotions, But it would be way easier if we would just say the lack of purpose, the lack of connection, the lack of joy, the lack of love. And we would know, oh, I am off my path, so I need to return back onto my path. And we would look for teachers or mentors or guides that they would teach us to look within and to discover our guidance. The new human knows how to tap within and know your guidance. I teach that all the time. I've created teachings on that because it's very important. So, a new human no longer needs permission to live their purpose. You can recognize this evolution in yourself because you may feel more drawn to truth. You reject inauthenticity. You feel called to something higher. You're losing interest in old distractions. You sense that your soul came here for a reason. This is the awakening of purpose-driven consciousness, the return of ancient wisdom, and the activation of dormant potential. As the new human rises, humanity shifts from a species driven by survival to a species driven by expansion, coherence, and higher conscious awareness. The ancients didn't warn us about destruction. They prepared us for rebirth that is happening right now. And just know you are being rebuilt. And really be honest with yourself. What is needed in this time in your life? And don't hesitate to ask for help, because you will be amazed how universe will reorganize events in your life so you will come across the right information, the right guidance, the right teacher. But have discernment, because not everyone that looks on the surface exactly what you expected has the right intentions for you. Always look for resonance, the feeling of resonance, not words. Because words may say anything, but feeling never lies, energy never lies. So always focus on the energy. I will leave you here. I hope you found great value today. I hope you've enjoyed in today's painting as well. I'm sharing the painting that is called the Flame of Life. This message may remind you of that, to return back into that flame of life and awaken to the spirit of power, of strength, of resilience, but also of softness, of almost like a poet, an artist, a scientist. Whatever speaks to you the most, find that inner fire within you and make sure it never burns out. You got this, my friend. I love you all. I'm sending you all lots of love, blessings, and power. To anyone that would like to get a piece of my art, you can find prints of my art that are more available, and also some original paintings. You can go into AttractPassion.com, where you will find all of my paintings. And to anyone who would like to get into deeper teachings on these subjects, you can join our Patreon community, where I have more organized material there. And also you can join our YouTube membership, where you can support this channel. Thank you so much, my friend, and till next time, one love.